before we get into the game, I've got a ton of respect for what Jay's done in year one. That's a very well put together team. He's clearly very thoughtful with the way he wants to play, and recruited to that style, which I have a lot of appreciation for. And to take over any program, despite how much or little resources you have, it's always a challenge, and especially replacing, similar to my shoes, replacing a guy that is a legend. And Larinaga had such a good run there, went to a Final Four. Jay's doing an incredible job. You know, sitting at 11-4 in the ACC in year one of a program is really unbelievable. And they're going to have a chance to really go for it down the stretch. They play a brand of basketball, and this will lead into the game, that can be very problematic for a lot of teams. And they're number 2 in the country in paint points, and they just abuse you, and it's relentless with their drives. Obviously tonight, with the rebounding, and my message to the team after the game, and obviously I'm frustrated. I felt like I could have coached a better game. I lost my cool a couple times with the refs, and lost focus and lost some composure. And I got to be better managing that in big time environments. But I told the team after the game, there's good news and there's bad news, and it's as simple as this: we lost that game because we couldn't rebound with them. They out rebounded us 42-23. 16-7 on the offensive glass, and scored 25 points to our 7. At times we kept it close. We turned them over and converted those to points. But you can't beat almost anyone. You definitely can't beat talented top 30, top 40 teams in the country if that's the rebounding margin. It's impossible. With that, I felt, and I'll have to watch the film, I felt like some of that was self-imposed. Now, some of it there is bigger, stronger, more athletic, more strength, whatever you want to call it. Between Renew and Uday, those two guys controlled the paint and the glass. But I'd say a large majority of it, we were allowing the battle for boards to be a jumping contest. And with a team that's, again, has size and length and physicality on you, you have to battle, you have to fight. And again, I'll watch it on film, but I didn't feel like too many times we were ball watching and then trying to jump at the ball. And it was like varsity against the JV around that rim. They just got every ball. They had 5 or 6 uncontested putback layups and dunks in the second half, which cost us a game. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is really simple. Despite tonight's result, what we've done over these last couple of weeks and now stretching into over a month is we've built together and formed and improved to a really, really good basketball team that can still win a lot of games down the stretch. We have 3 games left in the regular season, and then the ACC tournament, where I'm super excited now. And that wasn't always the case. And I know a lot of you have been with us through the season. There were moments, not of just frustration, but there were moments of like, okay, this is going to be a really long season. I've learned a ton. Our guys have learned a ton and improved a ton. And despite tonight's result, none of that changes the momentum we have right now at this point in the season.
Question, please, Chris. Robert was really successful down there against them.
Yeah.
What did they do to him tonight to keep him kind of that day?
Yeah, I did a couple things, and I thought Jay had a really good game plan. To start the game, they picked him up full court, and we call it a spy, something that we did to Trey, and we did it better in Coral Gables than we did tonight. But you just hassle him in the full court, so it's really tough just to get rhythm to get the ball over the court, over half court. That broke up some of his rhythm and attack mode. The second thing they did on all of his drives, because he can basically get by just about anyone, they were heavy in the gaps, heavy in the paint, and very physical on ball. The refs were letting some stuff fly, and on both ends. It wasn't just for Miami or for us or vice versa. They were letting both teams be physical, which I thought greatly benefited Miami because they're just so strong. And then once he got in the paint, they smothered him. They sent shot blocker after shot blocker. And as soon as he picked it up, they would play the passing lanes, all of which, took him out of some rhythm. The other thing and we try to do this, and at times we've been really effective, especially in the second half. They switched from man to zone, stayed in the zone if it worked, went back to man. And it's the same thing we do against it. It takes you out of rhythm in your offense. And again, that's where I got to do a better job, not just helping Rob, but helping the guys organize. I'll watch the film and be critical of myself in times of just keeping it simple against man and keeping it simple against zone. But throughout that, they did a really good job taking Rob out of rhythm. It certainly wasn't his best performance. But I'll keep saying this, Rob's our guy. We're going to ride with him. I have full faith that he's still going to lead us to a lot of wins down the stretch.
Corey, two quick questions. Well, the first one's quick. What is the protocol for how long they get, or how long you give the coach to challenge the call? Like, literally, I don't know the rule. What is the rule? How long are they supposed to get?
That's it. Yeah, that's a great question, Corey. I've heard a couple different answers. I am going to call the league again. I'm learning some rules I think I know, and then, man, at times I'll confuse them for what the NBA rule is, especially when it's new. Like the challenges are new to college. I'm very comfortable with the challenges because it's been my reality for the last 9 seasons. In the NBA, you have 30 seconds. I believe that's the college rule too. I've also heard, because I've complained about this a couple times, and I do my best not to complain about things and make excuses. I've also heard from another ref that they get a reasonable amount of time. That's so vague to me that and his explanation tonight was, at first he said he was tying his shoe, and obviously we didn't respond well to that. And then he said we gave him a reasonable amount of time, again, that word reasonable, and we would do the same for you. And I can live with that. If that's going to be the case, as long as it's reasonable for both ends, and I don't know how long that was, but I can live with that. I'm not going to complain about that.
The end of the first half, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
At the end of the first half, you guys could have run it down and taken a shot at the buzzer. You ended up taking one a little, I think 7 or 8
Yeah.
seconds, and they get the shot.
Yeah.
Did Rob go too early? Was that a mistake, or was that what you wanted to do, just get the best shot you could get as early as you needed to?
Yeah, a few things happened in that possession, and it actually cost us later in the game too. And again, this is where the guys always, I do my best to be brutally honest and self-reflective up here in front of you guys, just to give you guys the right insight. Again, that's where I got to manage the game better. We drew up a play in that timeout because I'd wanted to burn. We wanted to get the last shot. To answer your question, you always want to get the last shot of the half. You don't want to add a possession where obviously they come down and capitalize on it. But I drew up a play, and again, Jay did a good job. He as soon as we caught, he switched the zone, and so now that play doesn't necessarily work against the zone. So I had to then adjust in that last second. And when I did the initial play, you usually run it between 10 and 12 seconds, so you get a proper amount of time to attack, make a play. There's a couple different options, and then you're hoping to shoot anywhere in that under 5 second, under 4 second range. Maybe give you a chance to get an offensive rebound, but at worst, they're rebounding that 2 and probably got to heave a half-court shot if they get a shot. I think we shot at about 8 or 7 seconds right in there, which gave them plenty of time to come down court and obviously drain a fairly open 3 where we, again, just collapsed defensively. But, yeah, a few things happened in that possession, but ultimately, yeah, we want the last shot of the half, and we didn't get it, and they capitalized on it.
Jay Jones has been on a bit of a heater in this stretch. How do you feel like Jay Jones has been able to improve offensively?
Yeah, had a pretty good game tonight. He was very aggressive. He did a great job attacking the closeouts. Obviously, he hit a couple big shots. I thought he had a couple more open ones he turned down, but I told LeJay, because his teammates were getting on him for pump faking when he's open, because he's such a good shooter. I said, LeJay, listen, and your teammates are right to get on you. The way you're playing, I'm going to trust you. And if you feel like you can pump fake and get downhill to the rim, do it. You're playing a great game right now. Don't second guess what you're doing. But his decisiveness has really helped him over this stretch. And that's just not on offense. The points are showing up, the rebounds are showing up, but his decisiveness defensively, where he's in attack mode at not only on ball, but as a help defender, has really helped us become a better defensive team.
You mentioned that there's been a lot of good in the past couple of years. Kind of feel that buzz around the students. I've seen the most amount of people, the students actually, Virginia this game. Do you guys kind of feel that excitement kind of ramping up, especially comparing it to the beginning of the season all the way up to now? And do you feel like that's simply because of winning or other aspects that have gone on?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank all the fans that came out. I don't know the official number, but I heard it was over 10,000 fans were here. The student section sold out very quickly. And again, this is what we're trying to build here, where that's consistent every night, where every game's a sellout. And that takes time. I've said this multiple times to you guys, this town, especially the school, and those that support Florida State athletics, respect winning. And with winning, it covers, to me, winning's the ultimate Band-Aid. It doesn't fix everything. It certainly won't fix a lot of our problems. Those will take time and proper communication and partnership with our administration, which I think we're building. But when you win, it covers up a lot of issues that we're trying to solve daily. And one of those being attendance. And I think that was the biggest crowd of the season. Had we won, I think that would continue. Now, what I'm asking is obviously our fans, in particular our students, to help build this program with us and have some equity in what we're doing. To me, Florida State can be a really, really good football school, which we've seen, and it can be a really, really good basketball school at the same time. And I've lived it firsthand to an extent where when you win, the fans come, and you win some more, and they keep coming. And now we got to do our job and sustain winning over the next few years. And all I ask is the students to do their job and have a great time at every basketball game, because it certainly helps us play against big-time opponents when most of the seats are filled.
You have Trey coming home, obviously.
Yeah.
The way the first half went, it seemed like he maybe had a few emotions kind of coming up, but you're a guy who's seen a lot of guys go into hostile violence and kind of calm themselves down. How hard was it to stop him in that second half and the way he was just able to kind of take the game?
Trey's such a good player, man. I love his game because he represents a lot of the qualities that I like in a basketball player in terms of how tough he is. He's gritty. He's a great leader. He's vocal. He's flawed like all basketball players are, from top to bottom, even the best players in the world. But he doesn't allow his mistakes to get in the way of what he's best at, and that's leading teams. For him to come home, I knew it was going to be an emotional game for him, obviously to play in front of his family and friends that he grew up with. And I thought he had an unbelievable game. He had some timely shots down the stretch. And I will say this too, I think, Charlton Young, CY, which obviously you guys know, has a history of working with players. I know CY really wanted to win this game, obviously coming back to a place he helped Coach Hamilton build to so many wins over a long stretch of time. But I think he's done I'm assuming he works with Trey with the way he was talking to him throughout the game, because you could tell he was invested in what Trey was doing, in an emotional way. Like he wanted Trey to come back and have the moments he had. So kudos to him for the work he's done, and I'm sure the work he'll continue to do, as an assistant coach, and he's such a good player development guy and breathes life and confidence into guys. But also huge props to Trey, man. He came back home and he got it done in front of his hometown.
We talked before about Todd, the job he's doing at Gainesville.
Yeah.
Jay's doing down there, and then you guys are building here. Is it good for Florida State if the big three are all doing well, or would you rather them not be? It seems like this could be the start of a good trend for Florida basketball in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing for you or not. That's happening from not just Florida State.
Man, you and Corey got me smiling after a loss. This is impressive. Let me think about this. All right, I'll say this. and a lot of people know this. I have a relationship with Todd going all the way back to when he was an assistant coach at the University of San Francisco. So I will never cheer for the Gators, and I will never cheer for the University of Miami. But I do like that as a young coach and as a friend for over the last decade, and I've seen his career grow. Obviously, he's cheered my career on as I've grown. Our wives know each other. It has been cool to see him have individual success as a young coach and a young head coach. Now, with that being said, I hope Florida loses every game. I would say the same thing about Jay. Jay's a first-time head coach, and we all kind of came up close to each other in terms of our classes. Both those guys, I think, are 2 years older than me, but I've known them for a long time. Again, I'm excited for Jay to have success. I wish he coached at a different school because I'll never cheer for Miami. I hope them and Florida lose every game. But to your overall question, similar to football, I think it's great when rivalries have real stakes. And to have real stakes, that means that all the programs have to be competing for titles. And that to me is when those historic games happen. Going back to the Warwick Dunn game against Florida, going back to all those games that ended up in a last-minute field goal against those are the games I remember from my childhood. Right? It's no different in basketball. When Florida's competing for national titles, when Miami's competing for ACC championships, and eventually we're going to be right there in the mix. I have no doubt in my mind that we will be. I think it's going to be unbelievable, these games and how much at stake there is, and I can't wait for those moments.
Earlier in the season, you emphasized player motivation, how that might vary player to player. What kind of shifted to where they're really clicking now?
Yeah, I think a few things. One, and it's natural for healthy teams and healthy programs, the good cultures, to grow their relationship off the court. I think our guys have done an unbelievable job spending time with each other, and it's organic, man. These kids love each other. They want to hang out with each other. They play all these games. I don't even know what they are, card games and some game called Imposter. I'm learning all this stuff, man. I'm a young head coach, but I feel like I'm about 90 years old when they're explaining this stuff to me. But it's awesome to see them gel off the court. And I truly believe that when teams are connected off the court, that oozes over into the on-the-court performance because they trust each other, they can communicate, they can hold each other accountable. There's really nowhere to hide because it's like a family. It's like, you're my brother. Sometimes we're going to fight. Sometimes we're going to cheer each other on. But ultimately, we all want the same goal. And so I'd say even in our losses at this point, we're the most connected we've ever been. And a lot of that is because these guys have spent time off the court building and developing their relationships. And I'd say the same thing about our staff. Like, we genuinely like each other to the point where we can fight like brothers and no one takes offense to it. I love showing up to work every day. Even on the long days, it seemed like they never end, and this is certainly one of them. This is going to be like an 18-hour day from start to finish. But I would repeat this every day of the week because I love the people I work with, and I think they feel the same way.
What else, Ed?
Thank you, guys.
Coach.